everybody, and welcome back to episode 12 of the Come Play podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about Red Dead 2 finally coming out. We're going to talk a bit about the Ottawa Senators leaked video and the backlash with that, and we're going to give our NFL Week 10 predictions. And everybody's here today. Bobby, Brendy, and Zach. Say hello, everybody.
Yeah!
Hello, everybody.
Jesus Christ.
You have problems. And as always, I'm just going to pass it right over to Zach. We have Zach's thought of the week. He is ready.
I fucking dropped my nut.
Wow.
Okay. That's a reach.
Zach, unlike last episode, thought of this prior to being on the actual podcast. So here you go. Zach, it's all you.
So this week's thought of the week. This is a highly heated debate.
Mhm.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh my god.
No, it's not.
No.
If
It
okay,
is. I think it is.
If it was, then it would be separated by two pieces of bread, but it's just one piece.
That's a good point. Actually, I never that's a simple point.
Like, okay, if you were to rip the bun in half and then put the hot dog in between, then it's a sandwich.
Hey, see, I get the cheap ass buns though, so they rip apart just by default.
I was saying the same
usually
thing. I was like, that
Ends
has
up becoming a sandwich anyway. So I'm saying
Yeah.
yes.
I can't, man. It doesn't.
I don't think that's an important distinction for the bread to be separated.
If anything, it's a sub.
I would.
But a sub is a sandwich.
No, it's a fucking sub.
Okay, now this is a new take of this whole argument I've never heard before. A
Here
sub
we
is
go.
not a sandwich. Excuse me.
Yeah. All right. So Brendy's vote is immediately discounted.
Somebody's gonna put you in the
This is
dark
a
alley and beat the
democracy.
shit out of you.
Yeah, I don't.
Someone
I
took
don't
you into a
know.
dark alley and they're like, "You better not fucking think that a sub is a sandwich."
I
I'll fucking
mean,
kill you.
Listen,
Yeah, I don't
listen
know
to me.
about
You listen
that.
to me very, very. You listen to me very. Okay, we are called Subway, but we sell sandwiches. All right, you dare to take our core values and just destroy them like that?
See,
Right,
I've
There you go.
I've literally never said, oh, I make sandwiches. Say I
Brendy,
make subs.
Go to Publix right now and go to the deli and look underneath where it says sandwiches and tell me what you can order.
Well, all right. So
So
here's the
that's
thing,
my
though.
argument.
Does it personally bother you? Like you go to I don't know, literally a sandwich shop, and on the list of sandwiches on the menu, it's 6-inch sub, 6-inch sub, 12-inch sub, 6-inch sub, 10-inch sub, 4-inch sub. Does that personally bother you?
I mean, no.
is this
I just
something
say I want an 8-inch sub.
So does Jimmy John sell subs or sandwiches?
Oh,
They
geez.
sell subs in clubs.
subs and clubs. I like
What the
it.
fuck is a club?
I mean,
It's basically a sub with more meat.
huh?
Which
This is so new information that I don't even know what to do with this.
Yeah,
Like,
this is
I'm
this
sitting
is
here
taking
like
a- yeah,
I'm
this
sitting
is
here
taking a
ready to
turn.
debate hot dogs, and he goes, "Sub is
Wait,
not a
no,
sandwich."
Brittany, so you've contradicted yourself multiple times here. I just want to point this out.
No, how have I?
Dude, you
contradicted-
said
I've
first of
been
all, you
very
said
firm.
that a hot dog would be a sandwich if the two pieces of bread were separated.
Correct.
Aren't the two pieces of bread separated at Jimmy John's?
No, they're not.
So is a sub from Jimmy John's also a hot dog then?
A hot dog is a piece of fucking meat.
Is a sub a hot dog? Is the new take.
that is a sub a hot dog, and is a hot dog a sub. So therefore, I don't know. What comes out of that.
I should mention we do have sliced sandwich wheat bread. That's our only official sandwich though.
You have you've sliced.
Yeah, it's
bread.
it's
Okay.
it's normal.
I think a hot dog is a sandwich.
I still disagree. I mean,
I think subs are sandwiches too. I think that's where me and Brendy fundamentally disagree.
I guess I think a lot of people have something to say to Brendy if they were to hear this clip.
I don't give a fuck.
By the way, also
Tell me, bro.
I mean, I might be in the minority here, but I feel like a in order for something to be a sandwich, it has to have meat
my God.
and cheese. And a hot dog
It
does
No,
doesn't
not
have
it
to have
doesn't.
cheese. It doesn't have to have cheese. That's a hot take.
Okay, hold on a second. PB and J would like to have a word with you here.
Oh, I mean
Yeah.
that's okay. That's true.
Hold on.
PB&J would like to have a word with you.
I actually didn't think of that.
Let me tell you
Well, like,
something right here, right
if you're talking
fucking
about
now.
lunch, if you're talking about lunch meat, it has to have cheese with it. You can't
So-
just have
No,
meat.
it doesn't.
Well, here's the thing.
Tuna
So
sandwich, buddy.
I'm huge on sandwiches here. I've
Big sandwich guy.
Roast beef
yeah, a
and turkey.
big fucking sandwich guy, right? And there are times where like I don't really have any lunch meat, but I still have like a half pound of cheese. So I will just put cheese on bread and some mayo and eat that. And my roommates think I'm crazy for doing it that way.
You are crazy
So-
for doing it
so-
that way.
No,
But I don't have fucking meat, but I like cheese.
I
So,
actually do that too.
so I have a question. You guys might think this is a little weird. As a kid, I used to eat bologna and mayonnaise sandwiches.
Oh God!
Wait.
Not that weird.
Hold on, wait. But so just bologna and mayo, like no cheese?
Nope, just bologna and sometimes cheese, but
mean,
like
that's
not all the
not-
time.
That's the weirdest thing I ever heard.
That's a southern thing, I'm pretty sure.
No,
Is it?
that's
Yeah.
like
I have never heard that in
I can't. I don't know if I'd ever mix mayonnaise with like bologna is
Dude,
very
people in the
strong
South put
tasting.
mayo on everything, okay?
I do. I
Yeah, they
do
do.
too. I'm a big mayo guy. What's going on? Somebody just get married.
I was trying to find something to put on for what sounded like a political debate when Zach and Brendy were originally talking. So what I thought of was the graduation song that you hear everywhere. That was the only thing I
Oh,
could
yeah.
think of. So that's what that is, and it took me forever to download for some reason. So I was a little late, but I still wanted to play it. So fuck
right.
off.
So,
Okay, so hot dog a sandwich.
Okay,
Yeah,
wait.
final verdict.
But hold on. Before we have final verdict, I have one more thing I want to ask.
uh-huh.
Pork roll or Taylor ham?
I didn't hear what you said.
Pork roll or Taylor ham? I don't know.
Brendy, you should tweet out the thought of the week, like live whenever it happens.
All right, we'll
Make
do.
a poll.
Yeah, if there's something like that where it's like,
Like last week's would have worked too.
right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if there's one where it's like you decide between one or the other, then yeah, make a poll at the when we do the
Okay,
thought of the
yep,
week.
I got you. I'm doing it right now.
All right.
Even though they're not gonna see this for another week.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna go with a strong no.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
I'll say it's not a sandwich.
same here.
I'm saying it is a sandwich.
And okay, so can we settle the last one, which is a sub a sandwich? I say yes.
Yeah.
I say yes, a sub is a sandwich.
Yeah, I do too.
No, it's a sub.
I think we just opened up a whole new debate.
That is a whole new debate.
Well, I mean,
Moving
you
on.
like they won't know what it is down there, but Bobby, is a hoagie a sandwich?
I say a hoagie's a sandwich.
Wait,
Yeah,
what's
hoagie
I
is
don't
a
know what
sub. It's
I
the
don't-
same
If,
thing.
I was gonna say if I'm gonna say a sub is a sandwich,
Yeah,
then I have
well-
to say a hoagie's a sandwich.
Yeah,
I don't know what a hoagie is. So
Yeah, a hoagie is it basically is a sub. It just has like lunch meat and lettuce and whatever the fuck you want on it.
I don't know. I'll have to do my research on that one.
It's
When you come up
essentially
to Jersey, you're getting a hoagie, by the way.
I don't even really like sandwiches.
Wait,
that
no,
much, dude.
hold on. No, he's getting a cheesesteak. What the fuck are you saying?
Oh yeah, well I mean that's a Philly thing. We're Jersey.
I know, but that's any excuse I can get somebody from not in the area to go get a cheesesteak. I'm getting a fucking cheesesteak.
I actually don't know if I've ever had a hot sandwich before though.
What?
Wow.
Dude, okay, hold on a second. That is a hot take and a half. Literally. That
Dude,
wasn't
I-
loud
I
enough.
literally
Put that
work-
louder. There you go.
I literally work at a cold sub place. Like I don't have a chance to eat hot
Just
stuff, you know.
Put that shit in the microwave real quick.
Yeah, we
30
just have a
seconds, you guys have
microwave.
a piping hot sandwich.
Yeah, we just have a microwave laying around at a fucking cold place.
Do you not?
I mean,
No, we don't. We have an oven for cooking bread, and that's it.
Put it in a fucking oven!
yeah, honestly, you put it in for 5 seconds, I think probably comes out burnt. So
Yeah, it does.
Preheat to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Stick it in for 20 seconds. Don't even bother closing the door.
All right, moving on from the sandwich debate.
yeah, we're gonna actually get into our.
It's actually a
topic
sub debate.
That was a 10-minute debate. Zach has outdone himself. Like
Yeah,
I
it
said.
really has. We're gonna go into. We're a little late on this, but that's what we do here on the Come Play podcast. Red Dead 2 came out, and everybody was talking about it because of how big the game, first game was, and the anticipation for the second game. Me and Zach have played the game. I will get your thoughts on it. My initial reaction, I would say, about the game is I had high expectations for it, and they shattered those expectations. This game is flawless. I love it. Zach, what is your take on the game?
Same with you. I had really high expectations. Obviously, we all waited a really long time for this game to come out. I think Red Dead 2 came out in 2009. I could be
2010.
wrong.
Yeah, it was 2000. It was 2010. Yeah.
So 8 years between Red Dead and Red Dead 2. Which that's
And-
typical of Rockstar to do that, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
it honestly is just like it's so much better, and obviously you can tell that they took a lot of the mechanics like from GTA, you can tell, and they improved upon them. You can feel the game that is a lot smoother. It should be smoother. It's it's 5 years newer than GTA 5.
Yeah.
But as far as the gameplay goes, it's really awesome. Like it's like truly an open world game, and there's like I think there's like 80 or close to 80 like different wild animals you can hunt and kill.
Yeah. It's very detailed. Like I mean, this is typical of Rockstar games, but it's very detailed. Stuff you can do. In terms of just simple stuff. And I always fall back on this because I think it's kind of a funny thing they do. But I mean, this is, I'm sure, something they did back in the day to pass time. But like they have like poker you can play. They have.
I'm in. I don't know why I don't have this game yet.
They have like this dominoes game that you can play, like stuff like that. Like they just have a lot of stuff. You can fish in the game. There's just every detail you can possibly imagine. They probably have it. The story is good. They have, as again, typical of Rockstar, they have a lot of side missions, which takes a while to go through, but they're fun as well. I've probably played for, I don't know, I put a pretty decent amount of hours into it. And I'm still only at chapter 3. Like, and there's like 6 chapters and 2 things at the end. So there's still a lot of game to go, and I put a decent chunk into the game. There's just so much to do. So yeah, I really enjoy the game. They put out a really good product, and like I said, we it's been a long time between games. We all had high expectations, and I don't think I mean off the top of my head, I'm maybe Zach, there's something you can think of, but I can't think of something that's bad with this game. Like
if I can
can't
chime
think.
in,
Yeah, go ahead.
if I can chime in, and I have not played the game yet, but the common complaint that I'm getting from everybody is that it's too slow in the beginning. It's a lot of horse riding and going through the woods and snow. But then once it gets to like the midway point and you start getting to the more story-based stuff is when it gets really, really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like it was kind of the same thing with Red Dead 1. Like it takes, and somebody at work actually told me how long it takes to get from like one corner of the map to the other, and it's several minutes. It's just like, I guess that's always a thing, like with getting around. But like I think like when you're riding around, that's when you find like they basically have the same thing that the GTA story had with like the strangers and freaks that the GTA had. Like they have like that like in Red Dead 2. So they have strangers where you have to do side quests for them. So like when you're riding around. So like, I know that's people don't like that because you have to ride around. It's a lot of riding and trying to get to points to start missions and stuff like that. But it's kind of like the MO of like these games. So
Yeah, I don't really think that is
yeah.
a valid complaint, the beginning of being slow, because it is like at some point you have to tell the origin story, and that's always going to be slow.
Yeah.
I mean, think about like this in movies, like the first Deadpool was good, but like it kind of has a slow intro because you have to tell how he became Deadpool. Same thing with this. You have to basically build the characters.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Why, that's why like the first installment of a story is always going to be slower, and this is a prequel, so they have to like. It wasn't really a continuation of a story; it was going back in time.
And like I said, I haven't played the game, so I don't know. They just said okay, how many trees do I have to look at before things get good around here? like kind of attitude that I'm hearing. But you know, I'm with you that if it adds to the story and you have to kind of go through that shit just to get to the really really good and deep shit, I'm all for it. I am all fucking for it.
No, it's really good, and it just like I said, like the small details and stuff, like um, like just some like even when you're free roaming, like the stuff you
Mhm.
see, the animals, the wildlife out there. Also, like I had to go like in the mountains for this one mission. Like so like you start in the mountains and then you eventually go down. But like I had to go back up to the mountains. And I was basically just free roaming up there, and I seen a bear, which is like the big thing in there, and it was just surrounded by 5 wolves. Like basically, it was attacking it, and like just like you literally could see them fighting, and it was just like it's weird to say, but it was like very realistic, like how they were fighting. Um, so yeah, it's very good. The graphics are good. You would expect that with the 2018 game. But you know, it's exceeded everybody's expectations. I'm really happy with it, and
The clips that are being spread are fucking hilarious.
yeah,
My
it
favorite
is.
one so far is there's a guy the guy's riding on the trail, and he sees like an NPC, just standing on the side, and you know the guy you play as stops, is like, hey, need help with your horse? And he's like, sure thing, and the horse just fucking decks him in the back of the head.
I know what you're talking
And
about,
kills him. Oh my god, I was crying at that clip, and there's a bunch of other ones.
I saw a clip of a horse that was like frozen in the middle of the track. And this
Yeah.
guy like rides up to it, and all of a sudden his horse just dies and then catches on fire. There's no explanation.
I saw another one where this woman was a kind of same setup as the other one I said. But this woman's on the side. She's like, "Oh my god, can you help me? My horse up and died on me." And this deer from out of literally nowhere just comes barreling through and just completely plows her to the other side of the trail. It's like, what in the hell?
Yeah, because like the wildlife just like roams free. Like you're running
Right.
down the trail and like it just jumps out in front of you. Like if you hit something, like well, too bad for the animal.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, I love the game.
Roadkill.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to continuing that.
I can't wait to get my hands on it.
I actually I want to go back to the slow start thing. I actually disagree with that because one of the first missions, like you're shooting. Like,
Yeah.
you have to like there's in the first mission you have to like go into this house and kill a bunch of
It
people
doesn't-
and rob it. Like it's like that's not slow. I don't know about you, but when I log on to a Rockstar game, I am ready to shoot.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Like-
sound like, from the complaints that I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like it's like slow, like you're just talking to people in the beginning. It sounds like, okay, yeah, you're when you go actually get to the missions, you're shooting them up, but it's the travel time and how ridiculous and like it's like, oh, you have to go all the way to the other side of the map and go get this scroll for me or something. I don't know anything about the game, like I said, but like go get something for me. And then they have to go all the way back. Like and it's that travel time. Like it takes an hour just to do that.
No, Rockstar's always been like really good with that though. Like in GTA 5, like you start and you're immediately robbing a bank.
Right.
Yeah, this one, yeah, you start and you're like Zach said, you're like killing people and then robbing a house. So it's not. I agree. I think it's if people are complaining, it's probably not so much about the actual missions. It's just the travel time. And you know, I don't know how much you can do if you're Rockstar because you want to make it realistic and you know, riding like your horse is not going to have nitro.
Oh,
you
I
can't add
don't.
nitro to the horse. So
I don't think they want to do it. Yeah, but it's totally realistic for a deer to come barreling through and kill everybody. Totally realistic for a horse, but no, I don't think they're focusing on realism. They're focusing on telling a good story, and part of the art is also the game design itself. It's a very beautiful looking game, and I think everybody agrees with that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they want you to enjoy it. So okay, how can we show everybody that we are good at what we do? Let's put a good story, but let's have it take forever because we made a really good game. We want them to see the sights,
Yeah, I think like I said, I don't mind that, but I know people do. So yeah, I think final thoughts from me, it's a we waited 8 years for this game, and it's performed, and I know I still have a lot of story left. I'm probably not even getting to the juicy parts yet. So yeah, really good game. I would recommend. I think anybody would honestly like it. It's a good game, and then the good thing about games like this is after you complete the missions, you can always play online and free roam and stuff like that. So it doesn't just end per se after you're done the story. So yeah, I really enjoy it. But if we are all wrapped up with that, we will move on to some sports. So this story came out, and this is a very bizarre story. The Ottawa Senators, who have been in the were in the news with the Erik Karlsson saga, are back in the news because of a leaked video coming from an Uber. So the players involved. So basically, I'll give you the premise of it real quick. So basically, they were in the Uber and they were having a conversation about the team and the coaches in particular. They were talking about their power play, or I believe if it was either the power play or penalty kill, how
Their
bad it
penalty kill.
was.
Their penalty
Penalty
kill.
kill. Okay, yeah, how bad it was. They were basically saying a bunch of crap. It was a 5-minute video. Bobby has broken it down to a minute and a half, but the players involved, and this is interesting, and I'll bring it up in a second. So the players involved were Thomas Chabot, Dylan DeMello, Matt Duchene, Alex Formanton, Chris Tierney, Chris Weidman, and Colin White. And it's funny because Chris Tierney and Dylan DeMello were a part of the package that came over from San Jose for
Like
Erik
they just
Karlsson.
got there.
Yeah, like they literally because this happened on October 29th, and the trade. I mean, the season started October 6th, I think, or something like that. So it was like 3 weeks into the season. But they had only been there for about a month and a half. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, there was just a lot of things came out, and I'll let Bobby play the clip of this bizarre incident.
Yeah, so this first clip is them discuss the penalty kill, which is kind of the topic of the whole video, but this is them like bringing it up and like talking about it in a little bit more detail.
The best part about their break-in is the fact that we don't even slow them up.
No, never.
They come in like blazing speed too. Andy's like, oh shit.
Yeah, flying down the way.
In practice, when we break out against you guys, we get in every time.
What team do you guys play for?
Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
So one of the pauses there, so that was the Uber driver talking right there. It's like, who do you guys play for? Ottawa. So right away, he's got some gold here, first of all.
Yeah.
He's got some serious gold of
and
this conversation.
And not to mention, like, we said before, the Ottawa has, it's been a shit show there.
Oh, my God.
With Erik Karlsson and then Melnick coming out and saying he wants to move the team and then saying he doesn't want to move the team. And, just everything with the Melinda Carlson situation. Like, it's been a shit show. And, they finally, it seemed like they got out of the spotlight for the start of this season. Like, nothing really came out of them. They've actually had a better start than most thought they would.
Yeah.
And they've kind of just been, a regular team. And then this comes out again.
Right.
So,
there's a little bit more of it, so.
You can tell we're really pleased with,
PK. Yeah, I think Marty Ramal. Marty Ramal.
So Marty Ramal, which is their special team coach. He's the kind of the butt end of all the jokes and the comments in this video.
Mhm.
So I mean, a lot of the video, like I said, I cut it down. A lot of the video is them mocking him, his voice and everything. By the way, the video and audio comes from the Ottawa. Just wanted to throw it out there. So a little bit passes by, and then they start talking about their team meetings. A lot of this again revolves around the penalty kill. So this is them talking about the team meetings that they have based around it. And they talk about Marty Ramal. So here.
Marty Ramal.
No, I think they won one.
Only coach in NHL history to have the worst power play and worst PK within a
Back to back.
within a calendar year of each other.
It is.
Do you notice that? Do you notice that when he runs the video, like if you actually do pay attention, he doesn't ever teach you anything. He just commentates what's happening. He's like, here's so-and-so skating on the wall with the box.
This is me complaining about a high school teacher right here.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what it is. You ever notice that like he never teaches you anything? He just
Yeah.
Looking at my 7th grade math teacher, but besides the point. That's besides the point. Okay, I just want to point that out.
What to do with it?
Yeah.
But here's the other thing too. We don't change anything ever, so why do we have a meeting? Like I haven't paid attention in 3 weeks. And like I got my first shift like last game, and I
must have been listening.
yeah, and I knew what to do because he hasn't changed the thing.
I also hate how he quizzes us. He's like, what do
you do here, Max?
Max is like, I don't know. For me?
So yeah, I haven't paid attention in 3 weeks. Good
Yeah, and
God.
I'm pretty sure that was Matthew Shane that said that, or at least that
Yeah.
sounded like his voice.
Matt fucking Duchesne. Oh my God.
Yeah, so this is kind of a mess. Of course, there was backlash from it because, I mean, it's obvious. So there was a lot of quotes from the team. Guy Boucher, who's the coach of the Ottawa Senators, put out a quote saying, there's nothing, because this is a team that's going through a rebuild, obviously. He said there's nothing is more important to us during this rebuild than making sure our players and coaches are fully committed to our plan, our values, and our system of play. We have every confidence. We have every confidence. That makes sense. In
What the?
that
They
this
can't even PR correctly. Dear
this
God.
is exactly like this is literally their quote. We have every confidence in Marty. I don't know. What did you say his name was? It looks like Raymond.
Marty Raymond. Yeah.
Okay, Ramon. It looks like Raymond coaching, and the effort and determination of our team, and blah 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 blah. And then there was a quote from the players saying, the players involved saying, "We want to apologize publicly to Marty Ramon, our teammates and coaches for our comments in Phoenix, Arizona on October 29th. Our private conversation was recorded without our knowledge or consent, which is just, we'll get to in a second. We're passionate about our team and focusing on growing together."
Definitely passionate.
And then they end the quote with, "We are grateful for the support of our fans and organization. This is an important learning experience."
Oh,
We
the
will get
fans are
better."
probably. I do want to hear some insight from Ottawa fans. I'm sure they're eating this up though,
Yeah, I mean,
because they're basically saying everything that the fans have been saying for the past couple of years.
And you know what? At this point, like, it's such a mockery there. Like, what else could make it worse?
Right.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing I want to talk about, because these conversations, I mean, I would believe happen all the time.
They absolutely happen all the time.
Yeah.
Do you think for a second that LeBron James is in there trashing the bad parts of the Lakers every once in a while?
Yeah, and I think, like,
seriously,
I just think that these this happens all the time. Like, we were just talking about, like, how talking about bad teachers we had, or like I've talked about coaches to teammates that I've had about how much they suck. And I know this is a much different situation, but it's all the same. I think anytime you're in some kind of sports, you talk about it, or like even like, I'm sure people talk about their work, like their coworkers. It's something that happens.
everybody complains about their boss. Everybody does.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that this is what happened.
So, interesting thing with this, though, going off that, is that so apparently in Ottawa, there's laws for recording somebody is one party. So if it's you and somebody else, you have every right to record them, even if they tell you no. So that's the law in Ottawa, and that's what this driver was kind of hiding behind. But there is a but here, is that Uber and their policies and their terms of service, drivers are allowed to record, but they're not allowed to post out to the media without Uber or the other party's consent. Because there was a story of a guy who was an Uber driver who hid cameras like all over his car and was actually live streaming to Twitch the conversations his passengers were having in the back seat of his truck whenever he was doing his Uber driving. He ended up getting fired for that. So it's a little bit interesting. So that video was not supposed to be out. I'm sure the guy's getting asked a lot of questions about it, though. That's all I'm gonna say.
It is funny to hear like him go, "So who do you play for?" in the video. Like he's like figuring out how juicy this story is gonna be.
But it's funny, and it's like, so yeah, we talked about these conversations have to happen all the time. It doesn't matter what team you are. You could be the Washington Capitals, Pittsburgh Penguins, the Warriors, whatever. There is no way these conversations don't happen.
Yeah,
no freaking way. It just, what sucks is the Senators got caught doing it. right?
And yeah, with the circumstances they're already under.
Right, and it's like, here's the other thing too, and this is why I think this is so big too, is that NHL has been, at least they make the players not be very outspoken. It's been kind of a thing with NHL players to give very, 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 very cookie cutter answers to literally every single question.
Yep,
Like it's like, so what do you think about Erik Karlsson being traded away? I just think we're going to do the best we can. Yeah, we know that. Tell us something else, there, pal.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's something a lot of people have been advocating for. You know, like the NBA has become a lot more outspoken. The NFL definitely has. You know, what at this point is stopping the NHL from doing the same thing? If you let the NHL players speak their mind a little bit more, I bet you get more fans in. And I think Gary Bettman likes money. At last time I checked, so why not just let them speak their mind? You know, they're obviously not really. I don't think there's going to be any disciplinary issues. There have been already. The next night, the gang that was in that car ended up actually lighting the lamp up a couple times. So, you know, it's obvious they're still going to be parts of the team. I'm sure there were a ton of internal meetings after this. You know, I believe they stand by what they said, as I'm sure they do. But now it's just the work of just moving it forward. It just sucks that it had to come out this way because it does make them look bad. You know, especially guys who just got to that franchise like Tierney.
Yeah.
So
and I think, like I said, I think this happens in every locker room and every.
It does happen every locker. There's no question.
And just, you know, again, it has to do with this. But the next story that I wanted to talk about, which ties into this, is Jamal Adams, safety for the New York Jets, is displeased with what's going on there. And that's another rebuilding team.
Get in line.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's another rebuilding team. And I'll let you play the clip in a second. But my point to this conversation that we're about to have is this whole thing with, you know, it's almost like it's something that everybody talks about, and it's like, oh, whatever, like kind of sweep under the rug. But team culture, you know, in terms of, is the team winning, is the team losing, what's going on in the franchise, what's going on behind the scenes, who's getting traded, like that stuff all affects the players. So I'll let you play a clip real quick, but he's just talking about the recent happenings of the Jets and their losing ways still, which everybody kind of expected. But yeah, I'll let you play that clip of him.
Coming from SportsCenter's Twitter.
I'm sick of losing. It's point blank, period. I'm sick of losing. It pisses me off every time. It is what it is, man. This is just not. I'm not a loser. I want to get back on the winning track. You know, we've lost 3 straight. Come on, man.
So there's always something to be said about team players, right? So everybody has to do their part, right? I think in football it's a little bit different, right? I mean, you could have a stellar defense, right? But if your offense isn't producing, then it's not really on you.
Oh, so I can tell you about that.
I'm sure you can.
The 2017-2018 Broncos, right there.
Yeah, it's so I can't blame him if he's. I don't have his stats in front of me. I should, but I don't. I don't have his stats in front of me. But if he's doing enough and the Jets defense is doing enough, to try and win games, and the offense just isn't producing the way they should be, then I'm not surprised. And I'm sure it's probably frustrating, especially being on the Jets. That being said, I have no sympathy because go Pats and go fuck you and remember the butt fumble.
But no, going along with that though, like it's true, because I remember last year with the Broncos, that defense was still a really good defense, but they were basically getting screwed over by the offense because the offense was so bad. They were put into bad situations with turnovers and field position, making their numbers look bad. They were losing. And I believe, and of course it was, but I believe Aqib Talib was started something in the locker room with the offensive players at one point, and there's a rift in the locker room. Like it's something that happens, and I just think, like, you know, we talk about teams rebuilding and it's all about losing and getting the best draft pick and stuff like that, but I really do believe that I really do believe that team culture is a thing, and it's a, you know, it's unfortunate because, you know, teams have to rebuild. Like that's just something that happens in sports. But you know, you see the unrest here with Adams, and again, we're talking about conversations that are going on with the Ottawa Senators, like, these conversations are probably even intensified with stuff like this when you're losing. Like I said, Ottawa has actually been starting off pretty good, but this kind of sparks it. Like, now he put it out there on the media by himself saying this stuff. It wasn't like he was recorded saying this, but all in all, it's kind of the same with mentality of the players and stuff like that. I just think it's interesting because we're in a day and age in sports where, like, we have a lot of dynasties at this point and big franchises. Like, the NBA, you have the Warriors, and the MLB, you have the Yankees and Red Sox and Dodgers, and NHL, it's not so much, but the NFL, you got the Patriots. So, like, you got those teams, but then you also got the teams that have been notoriously losing for a long time, and the Jets have been one of those teams. And I'm sure the players are trying their best to get through this rebuilding period, but it can't be easy. And Jamal Adams, he's one of their most promising players. What was a high pick a few years ago, as he was part of the rebuild. He was a selection to start the rebuild and stuff like that, but it's got to be frustrating. Yeah, I just think, like I said, I think this stuff happens all the time, but that kind of mentality, does that affect their on-field play? And with the Sens video, it obviously didn't affect them because they put up 7 last night. They've been actually, like I said, they've been playing really well. So
my thing is, it's not like nobody else on that team is thinking, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure the Jets and the Sens are having the same thoughts. And it's also, I've said this before on the podcast, that the players and coaches and professional athletes are not oblivious to social media, right? They know what all the reporters are saying. They know what all the beat writers are saying. They know what all the fans are saying. They're not blind. They knew going into at least for the Sens, they knew going in that nobody was believing in what they were doing this season. Now, like you said, they had a good start and everything, but no one expected them to go above 500 at all during the season, like at all.
No, I mean, a lot of people were expecting them to be the worst team in the league, which I mean, it wasn't a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like that argument also wasn't justified. There was a lot of reasons, especially with the players they had and lost, as well as who's in the management upstairs, to point to those things. But the players know that that's the demeanor. So now it's kind of up to them to, I guess, show that at least you are trying, right? And especially in the case of Jamal Adams, right? The Jets are considered a low tier. No one really had any faith in them. So now it's up to you to show, like, look, I'm trying out here. Everybody else has got to catch up. So,
yeah, it's just, it all comes back to that team culture for me. I think I keep referring back to the Broncos just because this is something that they talked about a lot last year. A lot of people were saying, just tank. At the point there was probably like 3 games left. They were obviously not making the playoffs, and everybody's like, just lose those last 3 games, get a higher draft pick, which, in a sense, in their case, they had the 5th pick and ended up with the player they wanted, in Bradley Chubb. But, a lot of people are saying that. But then on the flip side, a lot of people are saying, look, nobody wants to be in a losing locker room. And to end a season on that's not something you want to carry over to the next season.
Right.
You want to. Football is different from a lot of sports just because of the schedule. There's only only playing 16 games, so it's a lot different than an 82-game season. But yeah, I think maybe it's something that a lot of people think is overused, but you kind of see it here with players coming out and saying stuff that locker room culture is a thing, and like, players are not, again, Bobby's saying players are not oblivious. They think these things, and maybe the media doesn't think they think these things, but they do. So, yeah, it's just an interesting video there. Going off the Jamal Adams comments, we have a little bit more football, and this has just been us reporting all season on Le'Veon Bell.
Are you not tired of this yet?
Yeah.
Are you not tired of this whole fucking situation?
We are approaching the deadline for Le'Veon to report, which is November 13th. This will probably be that will probably pass the time this episode goes up, but he has to report then to basically be eligible to play this season. And Bobby had an article. Do you still have that whatever you were reading up earlier?
I am scrolling up and down on it right now.
Because I want you to read that because I think it's very interesting. With Le'Veon, there was I think he sent out a tweet the other day. So he has an off-season home in Miami, and he sent a tweet out "Bye Miami," yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh, look who's coming back!" And the Steelers said they haven't heard anything from him. He hasn't reported yet. So, but yeah, Bobby, I want you to read, like I said, what you wrote to us earlier.
So this comes from the Big Lead, which if I believe is associated with USA Today Sports. So the story broke from Mark Caboli. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Of The Athletic. So he apparently arrived in Pittsburgh, but apparently learned some new information about his contract, which actually is making him contemplate whether or not he actually shows up at all this season. So the quote that comes from the article says, "A source confirmed to The Athletic that Bell is now contemplating whether or not he will show up by the November 13th franchise tag deadline based on newly learned information from the collective bargaining agreement that would allow him to be deemed as a third-year franchise player in 2019, rather than to revert to the second year even if he doesn't report." So, okay. Let's keep reading for a second. So, as the Big Lead, Henry McKenna broke down yesterday, if he does not report, he will not accrue a season. That doesn't impact his free agency status, but an NFL player needs 4 accrued seasons to become an unrestricted free agent, and Bell is 5. And his decision not to report, however, will impact his benefits with the NFL, as they are determined by accrued season. So, given that the third-year franchise tag for Bell will result in more than $25 million, $14.5 million is the amount he would have made by signing the franchise tender before the season this year, it would not make much sense for the Steelers to tag him again. So therefore, he would become a free agent at worst, or at worst get the transition tag, which just means that Pittsburgh could choose to match any contract he gets from another team. But I don't think they would do that because they're a long-term deal, and it's doubtful they would match something like that if he doesn't want to be here anyway. So this is more opinionated now. So now there's been some confusion on what the November 13th deadline means, and the reporting has not been clear. The truth is, he just has to report in order to play. If he's not in by Tuesday, he cannot play at all in 2018. But it's really troubling that Le'Veon Bell is apparently learning all this just a few days before the deadline. How he doesn't need to report for Pittsburgh's franchise tender price to rise after sitting all year. This, quote, newly learned information is not new. He's just now realizing this is how it will work. What has his agent been doing? If you were getting 3 to 5% of a massive upcoming contract, wouldn't you make sure your client was fully aware of all the intricate possibilities before the season even began? It's truly bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin with this.
So
what in the hell?
Yeah, I almost feel like the public has more knowledge of what is going on than Le'Veon at this point.
Seriously, that's exactly what it is.
This has been a saga all year, and I was saying before, and I think a lot of people think this, that James Conner probably lost him a lot of money because he's been playing phenomenal this year, and it shows that, and Pittsburgh is known to have a really good offensive line, and people, the whole thing at the start of the season was, well, you're only good as good as your offensive line, essentially, is what people were saying, and now you see James Conner, the year he's having. This was very bizarre. This was already, I will, I think all of us really said, we can raise our hands here and say we're wrong because we thought he would, it's like, all right, well, he's holding out, but he'll be back for week 1. And now we're at week 10 and no Le'Veon.
He might not even show up at all. It's truly incredible. I mean, I don't. We've had the discussion about him 100 times at this point. I really don't want to, say the same things over again. What I want to focus on is that last sentence. I truly agree with. What the hell is his agent doing? I mean, his agent. The conversation he had with his agent, from my understanding, was part of the reason why he didn't show up or why he hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And just now he's aware that he doesn't have to show up the whole year. What? I don't. The only thing I can think of is that this was planned. Because I wonder if it's kind of a hype build about whether or not he's going to come back. So then it's like, okay, we're about to, because it's just too convenient. This whole thing, like, it's like, okay, the deadline's about to approach. We're going to see Le'Veon Bell again. Oh wait, I just found this out.
Yeah.
No way. No freaking way. There is no way that when his agent and Le'Veon Bell were talking, that at no point did this ideal scenario come up. There's just no way. I don't know if I buy it. I really don't. I conspiracy theory. Let me put on my tinfoil hat real quick. I truly believe that they knew about this. This is them stirring the pot again.
Yeah, and that's a probable thing. Now, I want to ask a question. I want to get Brendy back involved because we've been kind of controlling the show here.
Yeah, I've been trying to chime in for the past 30 minutes.
Just do what I do and just start over talking everybody.
Yeah,
I can't overtalk over a person over talking, Bobby.
Yes, you can. You gotta be louder than that.
But my question is, say Le'Veon reports before Tuesday, and he comes back and he signs to say the franchise tag, so he's back for the rest of the season. Do you think he starts over James Conner for the rest of the season?
Yes.
No, I don't.
I don't think either.
No, James Conner has proven himself to be a viable starter in this league.
Yeah,
I don't know why they wouldn't split the time. Here's the thing.
I'm sure splitting the time, it's so hard to tell because if it was, oh man, it's really hard to tell.
So
I feel like would still get more carries. I don't feel like they would.
Yeah,
split the time. It would be very close though. I would think
I know.
it would probably be like a similar situation in Atlanta where Freeman and Coleman both get the ball pretty much the same time.
Yes. Now the only thing that maybe they would do is I think Le'Veon's probably a better route runner and pass catcher out of the backfield, and sometimes actually have him line up out wide. So maybe they would use him in those roles. But I don't know how you can not play James Conner. I mean, he's been one I
Easy.
could argue he's been the second best running back in the league. Well, second or third best running back in the league this year.
The problem with Le'Veon Bell, that's not even a hot take.
It's borderline. It's borderline.
Problem with Le'Veon Bell though is he now has to reprove himself from all the time.
He doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Are you kidding me?
Because
I'm serious.
No, you're insane.
Because here's the thing,
I'm fucking not.
No, you are ignoring the fact that we're talking about Le'Veon Bell, who is a dynasty running back.
Yeah, he hasn't played. He hasn't held a football.
Who the hell cares? Who the hell cares? And you act like he's not working out while he's at home. I'm sure he was.
No, working out has nothing to do with running schemes.
He's fine. He will be. Listen to me. My opinion of this whole thing
different with James Conner.
Sure, I'm sure it is. But all I'm saying is, you get Le'Veon Bell back. Everybody wants to see Le'Veon Bell on the field again, right?
There's no
including the coaches.
He can't. He has to prove himself. He
doesn't.
He will be on the field. I'm not saying he won't. I'm saying he's not gonna all of a sudden overcome James Conner.
Oh, Bobby, you're insane. I think you're absolutely insane.
I'd agree with you if James Conner wasn't having the year he's having.
I'm not saying this is nothing against James Conner. He has been outstanding.
But this is the point I'm making. If Le'Veon is supposed to be this this superstar running back, and James Conner is getting better numbers than he has throughout through 10 weeks, and I don't know the numbers. I don't have them on me, and I'm not going to pretend to know what it is, but through the first 10 weeks of the season, Conner actually has better numbers than Le'Veon has had. I think they were comparing this season to last season for Le'Veon. So I am a firm believer in you see running backs all the time, undrafted running backs come out of nowhere and will have a good season or two because they're playing again, behind a phenomenal offensive line. I really believe that, and obviously there's some things Gurley, Todd Gurley is good because of what he can do, but also, he has a good offensive line too. If you have a shit offensive line, your running game's probably gonna suck. James, I'm telling you, man. Like, if I was the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would be like, all right, you're back, but you can sit your ass on the bench all game. Like,
No
Yep,
way. No,
yep,
there's
I'm with
no
you.
way. I don't know how you could possibly come to
because
that
if you,
conclusion.
and not to mention like all the things that came out with the offensive line. Basically, it was week 1. I think all the comments came out about them. Like, he's like, they're like, oh, he's kind of betrayed us, and he's not here anymore, and whatever. James Conner's here, and then you've seen it was either the first or second week. Connor scored a touchdown, and he went right and celebrated with the offensive line as like a shot at Le'Veon. Like, I I don't know. I mean, I don't think
You're
there's any way he's back next season like that.
no
I'm
way.
I'm I'm 100% sure of. So
You're
like, I don't
you're
know.
you're forgetting though that once he comes back, they start paying him his money, right? So why are they going to pay him all that money to sit there on the bench for possibly for a game?
No, but
There's
But
no
that-
guarantee he's coming back though.
but
I
that's
know,
what,
but
like,
I'm assuming that right now we're talking on the hypothetical that he does, right?
but yeah, right. So I mean, if I'm honest, like, I wouldn't even if I'm the Steelers, I wouldn't bring him back. Like, I would just be like, all right, pack your bags, like,
I
because
wouldn't either.
Sure,
I-
that and
it-
that's
be-
one thing.
no, but
They
I'm
just want
not.
a little
I'm
more.
talking about the rest of the season. I'm not talking about for like I'm talking like if he came back, I would be like, you're not playing for us. Like,
Well,
we don't need you.
but
I'm telling you,
man,
man.
you are good.
I would have argued like the first game or two in the season, like it really seemed like they needed him
Yeah,
anymore.
So here's where I completely disagree, right? So let's look at so the Steelers are currently top AFC North right now, right? The Bengals are breathing down their neck. I mean, Steelers are getting into the playoffs, and no matter what, I don't think that's really up for debate, right? But if they want this push and they want to get, they want to top the AFC North when it comes playoff time, I don't know why, if Le'Veon Bell decides to come back and play, why you would sit him. That doesn't make any sense. And this isn't about James Conner. James Conner is absolutely going to be their next guy once Le'Veon Bell's gone at the end of the season, like officially.
Okay, but
right?
you can't say it has nothing to do with it. It absolutely has to.
No,
do
it
with
doesn't.
James
No,
Conner.
but you're not listening to my argument because I'm not saying James Conner can't replace him. What I am saying is that you now have Le'Veon Bell, who you obviously have recognized by the way you franchise tagged this guy as the best running back in the league, arguably, right? So he comes back. You're already going to pay him his money, and he's basically a rental for the rest of the season. If he comes back, why would you not play him? Especially since you're not totally clinched on the AFC North yet. You're still at the top, but you have the Bengals breathing down your neck. And especially come playoff time, you're going to need Le'Veon Bell to do things that James Conner may slow up on. That's all I'm saying.
So I get that argument if he wasn't going to get paid as much as he's going to have to get paid on the franchise tag.
Right.
Like, if he came back and played for 55 cents, yeah, I'd take him any day of the week. But he's going to be paying, like, he's going to be playing for millions of dollars. And I'm looking at the rushing leaders right now. James Conner is second on the list.
Right.
9 touchdowns this year, 706 yards. By the way, goddamn, Todd Gurley, holy shit.
Yep.
He is 150 yards above Connor, who's number 2, and he has 12 touchdowns on the year. Anyway.
Gurley's touchdown per game, right?
Oh, he has 12. It's more than touchdown per game.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Good. That was one thing I noticed about Connor. I'm like, oh, Connor's not there yet. He's close. There was 3 games where he hasn't had a touchdown so far. That's not, again, I'm not trying to shag him. I like James Conner a lot. We made the comparison to Gurley, and I'm like, there's 3 games where he didn't have a touchdown. He still rushed. The only game he didn't really do much was against Baltimore, where he only had 19 yards.
Well, that's because, that's also
That's
because
Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah. But no, I mean, again, if Le'Veon wasn't getting the money he's getting, then to come back for the season, then I wouldn't have him. But like, again, I think it would have to, if he came back, it would have to be either like a 50-50 split or like a 60-40 split with Connor getting the 60. Or what they do is they utilize him, like I said, as kind of the they put him out wide, which they had before because he is a good route runner. I just don't see you. James Conner's the second best rusher in the league. You can't take a lot of touches away from him. I don't care who it is. It could be fucking I was gonna say Ty Gurley, but I would put him over him obviously because of his numbers. But I don't care who you have. If you can't do it. Like he's just been too good this year.
Yes, and I'm not done. And once Le'Veon's gone, James Conner is gonna, he's gonna be the face for a little bit.
Yeah.
Assuming that he proves that his first season wasn't a fluke. But at this rate,
Right.
I don't think it is. But I just think there's something to be said for him, and all the eyes have been on the Steelers all year. They kind of just want to put him out there. They're already paying him the money. Like if he was coming back and they weren't going to pay him anything, yeah, sit his ass down, right? He hasn't been here. He wasn't the team player, whatever. But he's still top tier running back, whether you think that or not. He's going to come back. You're paying him millions of dollars, playing him. Use him as much as you possibly can. Because here's the thing: Le'Veon's Bell gone at the end of the season. James Conner's not. So you might as well get as much as you can out of Le'Veon Bell before he leaves, and then rely on James Conner after that. And also, yeah, definitely split them, right? I don't know if James Conner gets the majority. That would make sense if he gets 60-40. But I still think Le'Veon Bell, depending on how he performs in the first game, will probably get more touches. I honestly think that.
I mean, the other argument would be like if we're talking about touches, would be like a durability thing. Like you don't want to run James Conner into the ground and then have him struggle in the playoffs. So I guess that would be the argument there, and that's a valid argument. But I think Conner would have to get more of the touches. And I mentioned this to I don't know if Brendy was there, but I seen a comment on an Instagram post because it was a picture of Le'Veon, and I don't remember what the post was, but it was a picture of Le'Veon, and then one of the top comments was, "Oh, look, it's James Conner's backup."
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. The whole thing is interesting to me with Le'Veon, like not particularly knowing what's going on. That's interesting. Or Bobby could be right about him kind of playing it off. I don't know. It's been weird. To be honest with you, I still can't believe this has happened this year. Like I didn't think there was a chance he was going to miss the season, but here we are. But yeah, we will finish up our quick picks here with some college basketball, college stuff. So first, we're going to talk about college basketball. The season kicked off last night, and it was
Dear God,
it was an interesting one. So there was two big games on last night. The first one being the first one that happened, this actually all happened at the Pacers Arena, and the first one in the it's the State Farm Champions Classic. It's just like it's exactly what the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. I gotta get that clip.
No, it's just like it's one of those sponsored things, but it was the Jayhawks versus the Michigan State Spartans. Kansas won this game 92-87, but it was actually Michigan State made it a fight at the end. After the first half, it was 50-36, but Michigan State put up 51 in the second and made things close. The story for Kansas is their transfer, Dedrick Lawson, who went to Memphis last year. Now on the Jayhawks, was their leading scorer last night, 20 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. Azubuike, their center, had a pretty good game, 17 points. I think he'll have a pretty big year. I'm actually really high on him. So that was the score of that game, and as a Michigan fan, that was good for me to see. And that was a good game, but that was secondary to what happened in the second game of the night. Kentucky got run out of the building by Duke. 118-84, wasn't even close.
I'm so fucking proud of you guys.
It was he was waiting all episodes.
You have no goddamn idea. In case anybody was wondering, it's Beto O'Rourke, the Democratic Texas candidate who lost the Senate race. After he lost, this is him talking to the crowd. So sorry.
No politics.
Fucking proud of you guys.
That's real, by the way.
It's amazing what happened. So R.J. Barrett, the top prospect for the next year's NBA draft, came in an impressive first game, 32 minutes, 33 points. He looked good. The guy everybody's talking about, Zion Williamson, also had a really good game, 28 points. 7 rebounds. He looked good. Everybody's talking about, oh man, this guy's only athletic and stuff like that. So a lot of people. By the way, Joel Embiid was there to see him because he was at so the Pacers play the Sixers in Indiana where this game was being played. So Embiid was there, and he was like, he went to Kansas, so he was there to see Kansas, but he's like, yeah, I'm also here to see Williamson because everybody's talking about him, like the crazy videos of him dunking on Instagram and stuff like that. Yeah, crazy stuff, but just unbelievable what happened. It was a dismantling. Of course, Coach Calipari after the game for the Wildcats just simply said they played better than us. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you think? Really? Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it was a really good game from the Blue Devils, and I would presume they will move up to 2, and depending on how the week goes and what Kansas does and what they do in terms of who they're playing and who they beat, could potentially go to 1 just because they beat a number. And I only say that because they beat a number 2 team by this bad. But it's hard to move a team down when they didn't lose, so we'll see with that. Other notable scores: Gonzaga, number 3 in the nation, beat Idaho State handily, which you would imagine. Virginia played 1, Tennessee. So, there was no upsets last night. I watched the Nevada BYU game. That ended 86-70 for Nevada, who's number 7th in the country. But that was actually a good game. So some close scores.
I was just going to say, as a Tennessee fan, I'm really happy that the team is looking like they're going to be really good this year just because of how fucking terrible the football team is.
Yeah.
So now I have something to look forward to this season.
Yeah. And then just for my sake, I will mention the Michigan game, and I only mention this because it was really interesting. They held Norfolk State, who, yes, it's Norfolk State, but they held them to 13 points in the first quarter. But Norfolk State didn't score a basket for, I'm pretty sure, the first 8 minutes of the game. Michigan is one of the best defensive teams in the country. That's why they got to the national championship last year. And it kind of showed here. But they won handily 63-44. I actually didn't think they looked that good, but it's these are warm-up games, so get everything out now. They played Villanova in I think a week. So
I was just about to say, Tennessee is already playing Gonzaga in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a lot that we know about this season, literally within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. I like these. They do this every year, but they have these big matchups in the first night of the season. So they'll have the top 3 teams usually are playing the first night. And it's good to see because you at some points you probably won't get these matchups until March. So it's nice to see. But good starts for those teams I talked about, especially Duke and Kentucky. Gonna be interesting to see how they bounce back after that.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm a huge college basketball fan, so really looking forward to that. And before we talk about some college football, Bobby has some breaking news.
I still don't have a goddamn sound effect for it, even though Brendy sent me 3. Stupid me. So apparently, Des Bryant now officially signed by the Saints.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say we were looking earlier. It looked like it was gonna happen. Now it's official. I will talk about it really quick, just because me and Bobby are actually having this conversation yesterday. I'm in the mind that Des is washed. He's not fast enough. He is. He's only a red zone target. Now he's going to have Drew Brees thrown to him. Would that change? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think beefing up that roster for their playoff push.
Give Brees any target. He's he's a guy that we've been hyping up on this podcast for a while now. I swear he could hit an infant in the end zone, dead in the chest. And he's like one of those guys. He's just like Brady. You can give anybody out there, and he'll hit him in the chest every time. So I don't know where I stand really on Dez. I think he was a pretty big powerhouse for the Cowboys, and he is a little old and he's going to be a little slow. But if he's going to get open in the end zone, he's going to see some yardage. Brees is going to see him every time. He's going to look for him. He's going to be one of the first looks out there. I'm telling you.
Yeah. and it's good. Michael Thomas is having a phenomenal year. You've seen him put up 211 yards last week.
Mhm.
So adding another threat there. But yeah, so that's official. The Saints get Des Bryant. And then before we move on to our big topics this week, just want to give an update on the college football playoff because it is close to my heart. So the top two haven't, or the top three rather, haven't changed. But this was put out last night as the college basketball games were going on. So Alabama and Clemson still 1-2. You got Notre Dame at 3, and
Are
the
you
new
fucking
team.
surprised? For God's
Yeah, really.
sake.
And the new team, which is good for me and Bobby, Michigan moves into the 4th spot
Go blue.
with the LSU loss to Alabama by 29. This is interesting because this is going to come down to that last game against Ohio State for me if they make it in
Of
or
course it
not.
is.
So they got Rutgers and Indiana. Rutgers they had beaten one time 78-0. With this
Which
team, they should be able to beat them 300-0.
Which, if that season they did that the week before Rutgers played Ohio State, and Ohio State won like 64-0. So this was Michigan just trying to up Ohio State.
Yeah, yep.
So just want to point that out because that was one of the funniest things I ever saw.
And we seen them dismantle Penn State this week. It was 42-7.
Yeah, dear God.
And Penn State was ranked 14th. So, the one team that I am scared of, which is the 5th team, is Georgia, and I say that because if Georgia wins out, which they should, because I don't think they're playing anybody big the next 3 weeks. The SEC championship is already set, and it's going to be Alabama versus Georgia. If Georgia wins that game, they can't be out. Like they have to go in. So somebody has to go out.
Georgia plays Auburn in 3 days. By the way.
Okay, that's a sort of a big team.
Which like Auburn's like not they're not like that good of a team this season. I mean, like they're a good team, but
yeah,
they're not like a top team. But like it's a rivalry game. Anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
And they still got to play Georgia Tech as well. Which
Auburn's gonna win the football game. Auburn's gonna win the football game.
Which obviously Georgia Tech's obviously not that good of a team either, but rivalry, anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean I'm saying like you're right, and I shouldn't take those for granted, but it is games. If there are going to be a college football playoff team, it's games you can't lose, obviously. But no, my point is if Georgia wins out and then they beat Alabama, they have to go in. So somebody has to go out. And a lot of people are saying if Georgia beats Alabama, should Alabama go out? And I am in the mind that you can't do that because, like, as Alabama, I mean, they've had a very easy schedule this year.
Alabama always has an easy schedule.
I was going to say
Alabama.
Yeah, I was going to say that's true. I mean, they could beat the Buffalo Bills at this point.
Yep.
But no, they were talking about that, and I just thought like a lot of people are talking about them being one of the best teams, not just this year, but in like the decade, like this team they have right now. So,
and before they lose to the Citadel.
God.
If that happened, I don't know if the world can handle it.
Nope.
They're a 3-5 team in the FCS.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't win that game by 65, I'd be I'd be worried. No, but I think it's going to be interesting. Just because Georgia is right on Michigan's heels, but it's also one of the cases that if Michigan wins out, so they beat the teams they should beat, and then they beat Ohio State, who's a ranked team, and then they go on and win the Big Ten championship. You can't leave them out either. So it's going to be Notre Dame is a team for me. So like them being an independent kind of makes things really weird. Because obviously they don't have the conference stuff, but their only impressive win this year has been against Michigan, which was Michigan's only loss, and that was in the first week of the season. And that was with Shea Patterson, Michigan's quarterback, and that was his first game with them. Like, a lot of the teams they're playing this year have been god awful. Like that was their only impressive win, and it's going to come to a case with Notre Dame is.
Were you talking about Notre Dame just then?
What? Yeah, Notre Dame. They Michigan. They beat Michigan the first game of the season. That's like their only like really good win.
Well, they beat Stanford too. That was kind of impressive.
I mean, Stanford, but like I'm talking about, like, if you want to get into the playoff, like you got to beat like the top, you got to beat good teams, and yeah, Stanford was ranked at one point in the season, but I believe they're no longer ranked.
They're not, but I mean, because they've won their first 4 and then haven't won since, or maybe
Yeah,
they've won one.
I believe so. Yeah, it's also going to be a case of, and this is kind of where this whole system with the playoffs is flawed. Like, it's going to depend on the results of the teams that have played Notre Dame to see where they're going to end up. Like, if it's just hypothetically, say all the teams they beat this year, besides Michigan, lose out the rest of the season. Somehow they lose out the rest of the season. Well, that's like, now you look at Notre Dame's record and you're like, okay, so they beat Michigan, and then look at all these other teams they played. Like, they're not impressive wins. So I mean, that's kind of where the system is flawed. But that's just a story for another time. But um, yeah,
Man, it's really interesting this season, because a lot of the teams in the playoff, like they still have like very important games to play.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if Michigan loses that Ohio State game, then they're out. But yeah, I mean, Clemson has I don't know how quietly they've been, because it's Clemson and they have been amazing this year, but like they've been overshadowed by Alabama. But Clemson's been really, really impressive. Like, enough to be the top team. Um, and like I said, it's interesting with Notre Dame, with them being independent, how excuse me, they don't have the conference championship games and stuff like that to fall back on.
So, if just really quick before we move on, if Ohio State wins the game, do they get in? I would say no.
Man, it depends, because it depends what Georgia does. If Georgia loses that game to Alabama, I would say they get in, just because. I'm sorry. So if Ohio State beats Michigan and then wins the Big Ten championship,
Right.
then I think you have to put them in.
Man, I don't know.
The other team
it's
that's
tough.
there, the other team that's there, that's again quietly there, is Oklahoma, who's had a really good year with Kyler Murray.
And now that what's his face is there anymore.
Mayfield.
Yeah, Mayfield.
Yeah. Yeah, he's had a really impressive year. The numbers he's putting up. That's another team. If one of these top, I'm gonna exclude Alabama and Clemson. But if if 3 through 5 slip up, then they could be another team that kind of sneaks in there. So, yeah, I will say though that you bring up a good point with that Ohio State one, because I don't think they're out of the running, because their only loss this year was that loss, and it was a big one.
It was a big
to
loss.
Purdue. Yeah, it was to Purdue, which I'm not taking away from that, but hypothetically, if they do win out and, like I said, win the Big Ten championship, that's a one-loss team who has some impressive wins, because they would have beaten Michigan, who is ranked number 4 in the country right now. So I mean, that's an impressive win. You have they beat TCU in the early year when, or was it TCU? Yeah, TCU when they were ranked. It's going to be interesting. This is I'm telling you, man, like, this part of the year is the best time for sports. You got college basketball starting, college football, you get the last few weeks of the season, hockey's on, NBA is in full swing. It's a good time of the year. So looking forward to how this plays out, but happy that Michigan is in the top 4 and kind of control their own destiny at this point.
Right.
But we will move on, and again, want to reel everybody back in here, get everybody involved. So last night, I was watching the Kansas game, and they had Dick Vitale on announcing the game. And Dick Vitale has been there for, it seems like, 300 years, doing college basketball stuff.
Diggy V.
Dickie V. And I'm watching this game, and I'm just like, dude, I can't stand his commentating. Like, it's like, I don't know if it's just something like, I've watched college basketball in the past years, and like it really hasn't bothered me. But for some reason, last night I was like, this is just like annoying. Like he's cutting over the. I don't even know who the other announcer was, to be honest with you. I know it's one of the big guys, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But he was talking, and then he would just cut over him, and he's telling these stories and just dragging stuff on. So I want to have this conversation because in the hockey world, which I'll talk about in a second, there's a conversation about old announcers in sports, and I want to also bring it to old announcers and just old personalities and just in TV in general. So we can kind of make this a big topic and everybody can get involved. But in hockey, a legend, Don Cherry, who is on Hockey Night in Canada. It's the
83. He is
Yeah.
83 freaking years old.
and look, it's Don Cherry, and he's had some great years. I mean, it's probably the most watched show Saturday night is the hockey game, and then the intermission watching Don Cherry. But a lot of people are saying, a lot of the things he's saying are like wild. He's too old. Like, it's his time. I want to get you guys' opinion on this topic because, for a lot of these guys, it's just a matter of like it's time, man. Like you've had a great run, but it's time to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there any like announcers that come to your guys' mind that are just like besides the one? I mean, you can kind of contribute to the ones I just mentioned, but that come to mind. And you're just like, it's time. Like you had a good run, but the stuff you're doing is not good anymore.
So I wouldn't necessarily say this because of his age, but more so because of his calling style, and I guess age has a little bit to do with it. I'm really not a fan of Brad Nessler. I'm not a fan.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that might be because I was such a Vern Lundquist fan.
Yeah, I was too.
But like Brad Nessler is missing the it factor.
Right.
Like, he doesn't have what the legendary commentators have. Like they have like certain styles that work for them, and he doesn't really seem to have a style. Like I would argue that I forget that there's one play-by-play announcer for Fox that does NFL games. He's like the second leading crew or whatever. I forget what his name is.
Oh, is he the lead guy?
He's the lead guy, yeah. Well, he's like so like Fox obviously has a bunch of different crews, and like Joe Buck is like the first number one crew.
Right.
He's like the second or the third. I can't remember his name though.
I
know his face.
Give me a second. Yeah, I know who you're talking about too, and I can't think of it either.
he actually does a lot of Falcons games, and I feel like he would be so good for like college football.
Right.
So that's like someone like him would be great. I feel like it's like Kenny something or like I can't remember.
Are you talking about Kevin Harlan?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I was gonna say.
Hang on, let me look this up really quick so y'all can keep talking.
Yeah, I was looking it up as well, but no, I will get to this in a second, but announcers in general, like that's what brings the flair to the game. Like
Kevin Burkhardt, that's who I'm thinking of.
Oh yes, okay, Kevin. Okay, right.
I think he would be like a really good. He would be a really good announcer for more primetime games.
Right. Now, like, I just, and this is maybe a little biased too, because for a lot of my life, I thought I wanted to do announcing and broadcasting, and like, I always thought that the announcer made the moment. That like, if you watch a sports event, like, say, like, what's a I was thinking of infamous sports events, and the first one that came to mind was the Minnesota Miracle, which happened last year, which Joe Buck was actually announcing, which we can get to
Very
if we
rare,
want to.
like a very rare
Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I think like those guys make the moments, and some of these guys just you said it perfectly. They don't have the it factor anymore. Like they lost it or something like, and a lot of it maybe is and this sounds dumb, but they can't get up to, like, I feel like when a announcer like he really yells and gets all of his emotion out there, like that's when his best calls is, like when the best calls are. But like, maybe it's a thing, like literally, like they can't do it because of their age. I don't know. It's just like a lot of these guys I feel like have lost the it factor. Another guy in hockey is Bob Cole, who this is his last year, but he's another guy who's a legendary, and it's great and all. But a lot of people were saying, your time's up, man, and he kind of do that as well.
Here's another one I just thought of. What about Marv Albert?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough because
like he has good calls, and like I always like listen, but I just feel like his time's out.
Yeah,
this is Marv Albert right here. LeBron James, yes.
I forgot Zach was still here.
That's a soundbite right there.
That's not. You're not wrong. Like, it's tough because a lot of these guys, like, and this is obvious, but like a lot of these guys, you hear so much, and they have these big calls, so like, it's hard to see them go. But more of I don't know. That's a tough one.
What a chance there to the back. Point off a shot.
Like, do you think when he gets old enough, because people already want him gone? Like
Doc Emmerich?
Yeah. Like
he's probably my favorite announcer.
I think my dad hates him.
Really?
Yeah. Like but to me, like that, like he is the voice of playoff hockey. Like when it's his time, I want him to stay forever. Like
he's my favorite announcer of all time.
My favorite, and again biased because Flyer fan, is JJ.
Yeah.
But because Jesus, I seriously will. There are only a couple announcers that I would consider in his league in terms of team announcing. I seriously think he's the best.
I think he's up there. I really like him too, but like it's tough because a lot of people obviously don't get the Philly broadcast. So
right, but why I played the clip is because it's like when you don't know what you have till it's gone, right? So like you have Mike Emmerich, who is famous for those kind of just insane calls. He loves the game. He loves what he does. And people already there are some people out there who don't like him and want him gone. And I want him gone out of the NHL game sometimes. Jesus, dear God.
Yeah.
But it's just sad when that happens. Who was the Dodgers announcer who retired?
Vin Scully.
Yeah, Vin Scully. What was it? 60 years? Is that right? Wasn't it like 60 years?
Yeah, it was a long. Man, let me look at the exact
decades. I think it was 60 years.
But you know what? And
67 seasons.
67 goddamn seasons.
The man is 90 years old.
Yeah,
he called Hank Aaron's like record-breaking home run. By the way,
right? Like what he did.
For context,
that's crazy.
Isn't that insane? Like I like. So was his time seriously up until his 90, or has he been one and gone? Because like I didn't know much about him until he retired.
He retired at like I think 88 years old.
Yeah, so it was because it was recently. It was in the past like couple seasons, but it was like everyone would love him.
Just imagine being 80 years old and still working for like 8 more years.
Or being fucking 90.
Fuck that! I'm done at 65.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm sure a lot of people I know as soon as 65. Okay, all right, 401k. That's my job now. 401 right there. Jesus Christ.
But like, maybe I don't know. Like, Brendy, you might have listened to him a lot just because of being a baseball fan. But like, I was actually on board. Like, he was one of those guys that kind of defied everything because like, he was 88, and I thought he still, he kept it. Like the problem I had with Dick Vitale last night is like he was just the stuff he was saying was just really like not like you didn't have to say like it wasn't important. Like I thought Scully was still kind of good. You know what I mean?
So yeah, but with Vin Scully though, like he will say what you want to hear, and Dickie V does not. Like Dickie V is the opposite of Vin Scully.
That is true.
Like and Vin Scully still had the it factor.
Yeah. By the way, like during
Go
the
ahead.
game last night, not Vince. Now I'm talking. Dick Vitale, like I don't know. I was only half paying attention, but all of a sudden I hear, "Oh yeah," and in my new book that's coming out, I talked about
Stop.
this. I was like, I swear to God that happened. I was like, okay.
Vince Scully won a fucking Presidential Medal of Freedom by pointing that out there.
For
Vince
what?
Scully was the best.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess it
being
doesn't
a
really
bomb-ass
matter.
bitch.
I was gonna say it doesn't really matter, does it? Who gave it to him?
It was 2016, so probably Obama.
Okay.
George
say-
Washington.
Yeah. We've got the Presidential Medal of Freedom for a television broadcast. I'm not familiar.
No, I just
I'm acting like he's a fucking.
yeah.
I guess he is a Brit.
FDR back in the day.
No, but like
I am giving you the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The New Deal continues.
Let me just say, keep your day job because you would
Speak
never be
softly!
an impersonator for fucking presidents.
I can't do a good impersonation of him, but all I know is that he fucking yells a lot. At least all the speeches you hear of him, like even like because it was early radio, so it was like, "I savagely."
Do that noise again.
What?
Then you have George Bush, who's just terrorism.
Wait! I have a secret to tell you guys.
Oh,
Terrorism.
Terrorism.
I don't know. I don't listen, man. I think we're just skipping by the greatest call of all time.
I'm so fucking proud of you guys.
Same. That's calling sports history, no doubt.
We've got Obama who goes, "My American people,
And
My fellow Americans.
my fellow Americans."
did you guys hear that speech where George Bush was like, "We have to be right 1% of the time. I mean 100% of the time."
yeah.
Dear God.
But getting back on track.
Get out there and vote.
But getting back on track. No, I don't. I just think like, and I'm trying to think of any TV personality. Like, what are some TV personalities that like their time has come? Like,
I would also say Marv Albert is probably at the top of my list.
yeah, I was thinking. Fuck, what's
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. I mean,
Fucking thing sucks.
So I'd say Marv Albert for his age, and then Brad Nessler just because it's call.
yeah.
How's Boomer still on? I know he's not announcing anymore.
Yeah, he just does like the Fox, not the CBS updates. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could say the same thing about Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah,
Those big fucking years.
yeah, had a
What's that guy who I said should go to jail?
Colin Cowherd.
Wait, yeah, that was. Wait, I'm trying to scroll back on the tape. Yeah, he goes. So on Halloween, we have separate chats on Discord, and Zach goes, "You guys know that sports talk show, The Herd? I want to punch the guy who hosts it right in the fucking face. I hate his face.
I hate him, dude.
And literally grabs a picture of him and says, "Look at this fucking asshole. I'm not even talking about his show anymore. He's just ugly. He's gonna need to change his face, or I'll change his form."
He looks
He
like
looks like William Dafoe's asshole cousin.
Oh my god!
I was crying when I actually.
I
This
hate
is a
him.
guy
Dude.
who barely talks sports, and then here comes the guy. Yeah, you guys know who hosts The Herd? Yeah, he's an asshole.
Dude, they had his show on at my job the other day, and first of all, like, this is before I even pay attention to anything that's being said on the show. I'm like, this guy looks like a fucking asshole. Like, he's fucking ugly. Jesus Christ. And then he starts like fucking riding Baker Mayfield's ass about some shit.
Oh yeah, that's an infamous clip because that's exactly what he did. He got on Mayfield about I don't even remember the interview, but basically Mayfield like wasn't having any of it, and he said some shit, and then NFL scouts were like, "Oh, look at this guy! Like, he's such an asshole." Like, look at Colin
It
Coward.
doesn't matter.
Or not Coward. Yeah.
Anyone do
Well,
a good
remember-
Colin Coward impersonation?
I
No,
can't. No
fuck
way.
that. I
No,
don't want.
but-
I don't want to talk about that fucking.
But do you remember when Baker Mayfield did the thing where like he was on the sideline and he grabbed his crotch at the other team?
Yeah.
Like it's like, nope, there he goes. He's gonna go down the draft pick line. I know he's not.
he
relax.
got picked number
Relax.
1.
Relax. Yeah, exactly.
Relax.
Relax.
So, real quick, and I want to wrap this up because we're running short on time. But we had this conversation a little bit yesterday, but I want to obviously put it on the podcast. What's your guys' take on Joe Buck? Because a lot of people hate him.
All right.
I think he's good for play by play, but like his like special moments, like his plays, or his highlights, like they're not very good. With that said, like if I'm just like sitting down and watching the game, I actually enjoy his commentary.
That's exactly my opinion, and I know you're about to reveal some information because I just found this out yesterday from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my thoughts exactly. I don't have a really big problem with him on the play-by-play, but like when something big happens, it's like and a touchdown. Okay. All right, thanks, Joe.
Mitchell.
Thanks for
Mitchell.
Mitchell. Thanks for the input, Joe.
Down at the 30.
I like that's really my only gripe with him is that during the moment, like because I'm with you when you said earlier, like they make the moment, like a lot of the moments, like I mean the Miracle on Ice, like is a big one where imagine that game without that call.
Yeah,
like
That
imagine
is a disgusting act.
that is.
I want to get to something real quick. So the one thing I was gonna say is, and a lot of people don't know this, and I'm gonna be honest here, I can't remember where I seen this at, but I know it's a true thing. So Joe Buck had hair transplants, and there was some complication with it, which made him lose like his voice for a certain amount of time. So a lot of the calls you hear, he's not like yelling in it. Like you hear his voice is kind of almost like fucked up. It's because of that. And recently it's gotten better where it's almost like, I guess, cured, I guess would be the word. So he has been able to like get back up there with his, his calls. But a lot of people don't know that. Now, that infamous Randy Moss call, I will say like that was terrible. Like he's like, that is just a disgrace or whatever.
Yeah, disgusting act. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a disgusting act.
So
yeah.
This is according to the Wikipedia page, so please take it with a grain of salt. But I was trying to do a quick look up. So it says vocal cord ailment. It says in 2011, shortly after broadcasting a Super Bowl for Fox, Buck claimed to have developed a virus on the nerves of his left vocal cord. Despite the ailment, which according to Buck came out of the blue and hampered his ability to raise his voice, continued to broadcast baseball for Fox during the 2011 season and resumed as the network's lead NFL announcer that fall. In 2016, Buck revealed that the problem was not due to a virus, but rather to vocal cord paralysis likely caused by anesthesia used during multiple hair transplantation procedures.
Right. So I mean, I think it's like that could be part of the problem, obviously. I mean, the guy can't even fucking talk.
Can we talk about the picture they're using for his Wikipedia real quick?
What? Send it in the chat room.
Not that
Like,
one.
I mean, that's
It's an old fucking picture from 2006.
Yeah, I know.
That's terrible. Yeah,
Him at Busch Stadium.
That's
So,
not good.
would you rather punch Joe Buck or Colin Coward?
Oh, Coward easily. I would uppercut that dude into next week.
All right.
All right. We are.
How tall is he?
Who?
Colin Coward. I'm trying to see if you can
I
actually
am-
reach his chin.
Okay, that's fucked, man. No, I'm messing. No, all right. We only have like 15 minutes left here, so let's move on. Brendy, in case you missed it, you said you had some good story this week, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so as you guys know, Minecraft is basically like a dead game now, right?
Yeah, it's mhm.
Or like not
Not
dead.
more or less.
It's
I mean,
nothing compared to what it used to be.
I would say so. Yeah.
So Microsoft has some plans to basically install like a campus, basically like a new headquarters, so they can hire some more employees, located in Redmond, Washington. So obviously, whenever they're in the planning phases right now. So one of the things that they did, and you guys know, obviously, when you're building something like this massive, you have to have like a detailed plan and kind of have to layer it out and stuff. So in order for them to lay it out, they decided, you know what? We're going to build the entire campus in Minecraft.
Oh my!
And it actually looks pretty sick. Like there's an entire like walkthrough, like an entire map, and I'm gonna post an image in the chat, and you guys can kind of see what it looks like. One of the maps, but it actually looks pretty sick.
So I was.
Here's a picture.
I was gonna say.
Oh my god!
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's a video showing like an entire walkthrough. And
a cricket pitch.
Yeah. And I can show you like an actual HQ like graphic, to show you what it looks like, and it like looks like really similar.
Right.
Okay.
So let me show that to you guys.
This looks like the rug you would play on as a kid that had all the roads.
Yeah. Yo, I oh my god, that brought back some memories.
Well, dude, I have a bunch of diecast race cars. When I was 2 years old, man, I was basically racing Watkins Glen
with the Matchbox cars and stuff.
Oh boy!
Yeah. And here's what the high quality picture is supposed to look like.
That's that's actually
damn close.
Yeah,
that's almost on point.
Sick. Yeah, and there's a whole video showing like
is that a rooftop pool, or am I seeing a thing?
Maybe, I don't know.
Can't tell what that is. I don't think it is. It looks like it, but because I just saw the blue, I just kind of assumed.
By the way, Bobby knows this, but I was always that asshole in Minecraft that would always try to make like the world that was like the city. So like I would try to make my own city and stuff like that, and it never went well.
Yep,
we had a couple that lasted for a little bit.
There's one other picture right there. I just linked it to you guys.
That's yeah.
That's cool. Okay. That's cool.
I mean, it sounded sketchy at first, but actually, it sounded like almost like a mock thing more than anything. But all right.
Yeah, no, that's kind of cool. It's
it's so weird because like I haven't really heard much Minecraft news recently.
Because it's Minecraft.
And
this just in, XXX girl gamer XXX rode a horse.
and
newsworthy.
Okay, so moving on. So what's another video game what's another game like you guys haven't really followed, but like it's kind of big?
GTA.
Fortnite.
No.
Damn it.
GTA.
You hear Fortnite news all the time.
GTA.
No.
Right. Is it? Hold on, wait. I want to guess though. Is it recent?
Recent? It was really popular like a few years ago, and it's like died off, but people still play it.
H1?
No, not
Roblox.
Like further back. Not that far back, Zach.
Shit.
Once I tell you guys, you'll be like, "Oh shit."
Okay. I give up.
All right, Pokemon Go.
Oh my god.
Okay. So this story has to do with Pokemon Go. So you guys know when Pokemon Go first came out, everyone was on their phones and fucking catching Pokemon, wild Pokemon. Well, this 70-year-old man from Taiwan decides, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take it another step higher. So what does he do? He decides he's gonna grab a belt and strap a shit ton of phones around his belt, and just have 11 phones all playing Pokemon Go all at the same time. And wait till I show you guys the picture. I'm uploading it right now.
Oh my god!
Yo,
just for audio's sake, it's not even like when he said belt, I thought it was gonna be like a bunch of phones, just like around, and he was gonna have holsters for each one that he could pull out whenever there was an alert. No, it basically is this belt that has this robotic device looking thing in front of him that has 11 different what looks like car mounts and is holding 11 phones right in front of his face as if he was using like one big tablet.
So
post it on Twitter. Post it on Twitter. Just say as mentioned.
So Motherboard, who is it's a gaming company, they decided to do an interview of this man. He says his favorite Pokemon is Snorlax, and he doesn't like to assault gyms because it makes other players feel bad.
Well, if he has 11 phones, who the hell else is he competing against?
I mean,
Seriously,
other people in
like
Taiwan, I guess.
You go into a gym and you see this guy with 11 phones. Oh, fuck this. I'm out of here. There's no fucking way am I winning any of this.
And he's known around town, by the way, as Uncle Pokemon.
Uncle Pokemon. All right, you know what? Hot take, early prediction. Whatever the next Pokemon game is, he's gonna voice the guy in the beginning. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name now. The guy you see like at the beginning of every Pokemon game is like, "Hi,
the professors."
Yeah, professor. Yeah, I feel like he's gonna get a cameo as the professor.
By the way,
that
not
would
to
be
mention,
nice.
in this picture, look at the girl in the background, just like, what the fuck?
What?
are you doing,
What the
man?
hell? She's looking at him like, what is this latched to? What the hell? How are his pants not on around his ankles right now?
I like how
That shit cannot be
I
light.
like how he randomly just has an umbrella too, like
Yeah.
just in case it
Well, he
rains.
can't get the fucking phones wet. What you should
it's
do is
sunny.
he
Dude,
should
look,
take the umbrellas that you put in
But-
drinks
but
and
dude,
put them
look-
over top of the phones.
look at the reflection in the fucking windows though, like clear blue skies.
Yeah.
Sunny and 78 outside.
Yeah. Oh my god, man, he's got to be dying.
That's
Jesus,
great.
man.
What? It's like the stories of the samurai, like where those samurai warrior would apparently take like 2 to 3 hours to put on all the armor. How long do you think it takes this guy to get dressed in the morning when it's a good day for Pokemon Go?
I should mention also, he doesn't usually walk while doing this. He likes to take his fucking bike. So
I
he's
mean-
gonna get even more progress.
What? But how?
How? Exactly. How does
like
that not
this.
interfere with? Like, how does that not interfere with the handlebar?
Hey, look at that gold fucking watch, by the way. Just saying.
Right, yo, look at him with the rolly.
He's out here, bro.
Yo, he out here doing that work.
He's probably selling Pokemon Go accounts, so he's getting all this money to buy watches like that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Probably selling to somebody.
Yeah, I was like that. Like that's a business model right there at that point.
Jesus
God.
Christ, I can't. What in the hell?
I like how
man?
you just had like a picture right after that, like, oh yeah, you want to?
Oh, like this, yeah, like this.
All right, and then like you said, you have one more story, right?
No, that's it.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
gonna end it there because
Yeah.
that story was juicy.
Yeah, and we are, like I said, running short.
Yeah,
All right.
motherfuckers got class over here.
Yeah, I was gonna say. All right, we are gonna finish up our show with our Week 10 predictions. We did so the way the podcast was uploaded, we missed the Week 9 predictions, but we're just gonna, nothing changes since we all didn't make predictions. So
We've sucked these past couple weeks.
we do have a new leader in the clubhouse, though. I have overtaken Brendy. So the last predictions we did were Week 8, and so we all predicted that the Rams would beat Green Bay. You guys had Jacksonville over Philly. I had Philly winning, and Philly did win. So I did take the lead in the clubhouse here. But our 3 games this week we're going to discuss is the Thursday night football game against Carolina at Pittsburgh, New Orleans at Cincinnati, a 1:00 game on Sunday, and then Seattle at the Rams, who got their first loss last week. We're just going to jump right into it. Bobby, your prediction for the first game.
So we're gonna do Carolina and Pittsburgh, right? So Carolina and Pittsburgh. Well, so we talked about Le'Veon Bell earlier. That has literally no impact on this game. It'll be next week if he decides to return. So for this one, I have Pittsburgh kind of running away with it, but not by a margin by any means. I think Carolina is still a very good team, a team that really shouldn't be reckoned with right now. So I think James Conner's still going to do that work to him. I'll be completely honest. I think he's just going to bury him in the red zone. So I have Pittsburgh taking this one 31-24, especially also they're at home. I mean, they're dangerous at home, man. I mean, they're so goddamn dangerous. I hate when the Pats play in Heinz Field. It's terrible.
Yeah, so like you said, Carolina is not a team to be reckoned with right now, and that's kind of a shame because as a Falcons fan, I need them to lose so that the Falcons can like at least make a wild card appearance.
Yeah.
Um, so I think this matchup against Pittsburgh though will be a real test for them. I think, I'm not a fan of Carolina's run defense. I think James Conner is going to run all over them. I think Carolina's saving grace is going to be Cam Newton, who had a really good game. The past couple games actually.
Yeah, he's been one of the hottest QBs in the league.
Yeah, so I think Pittsburgh's defense. I quite honestly, this could come down to like a last second field goal that Carolina or either team could have to kick. If I had to make like a really hot prediction, I'd probably have to say Carolina goes for a game winning or a game tying field goal and misses, and just Pittsburgh would hold on. So I'll have Pittsburgh winning 30-27.
And I will agree with that. What it comes down for me is Pittsburgh just like I just feel like any primetime game in Pittsburgh, any night game in Pittsburgh, like they never seem to lose. Carolina is 6-, I think they're 6-2 right now. They're playing really well. And I think they're coming in hot, but I think Pittsburgh is kind of starting to figure things out. I guess the one thing that I would be wary if I'm Pittsburgh is Christian McCaffrey is a threat out of the backfield. He's been one of the best dual threat guys in terms of catching out of the backfield and running. So but I have Pittsburgh winning this game 24-20. The next game we have is the Saints game. The Saints knocking off the Rams last week, who are undefeated. So, Bobby, you can give your prediction for this game against Cincinnati.
Man, this is going to be a good one. I'm excited for this one. Isn't it just so different what we said about Cincinnati at the beginning of the year?
Yep. Yeah, we're like
seriously, we could not be any further off. Amazing. All right, I have this one basically with the same score as Pittsburgh and Carolina, but I have New Orleans winning this one 31-24. I'm gonna be a believer in Dez. He's fine to play in this game, right? Yeah. He's fine.
He probably will be, but it might be similar to how like Demaryius Thomas last week with the Texans. Like he was only in certain plays that he like knew essentially. So, it might just be learning the playbook.
I think they'll definitely put him in for any red zone plays. So I think that Breeze has a new target, and I mean you can believe what you want. He was still a decent enough receiver to do damage in Dallas. I think with Breeze throwing to him, it's not going to be any different. New Orleans is already stacked as it is. They've done extremely well, and they're stampeding right now. So I have New Orleans taking this one 31-24 and kind of a barn burner.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily have it close. I've got New Orleans winning 27-14, and that's kind of a shame because, like I said about the Panthers, I need the Saints to fucking lose, but it ain't happening against the Bengals. With that said, like the Bengals have been they've been impressive. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like, well, I say impressive. Like they haven't been as bad as I thought they would have been, and I think we could all probably agree with that one. And the Saints, like God, we never thought they were gonna be like I think some of us had the Saints in the playoffs, but not as probably like one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now, or the hottest.
I think I have the Saints winning the division, but I can't remember.
Well, anyway, so it's kind of a shame. I think Alvin Kamara is going to have a really good game. I would say he'd probably get he could easily get 3 touchdowns this game. So I'm going to have the Saints winning. I'm going to have the Saints winning 27-14.
And as I'm looking at my score, we actually have the same exact score. I have the score being 27-14. The Saints are just. I mean, they lost their first game of the year, but they haven't lost since, and they look really good. Alvin Kamara finally kind of got back in, so like he's been ever since Ingram came back, he's kind of gotten touches taken away, but he had a really good game last week. We'll see what Dez does. It's going to be weird seeing Dez in a uniform that's not a Dallas jersey. But yeah, I think Cincinnati's been okay. They've been good this year, I guess, in terms of what we thought they were going to be. We're starting to see them cool off a little bit. They barely got by the Bucks. They were up 35 to what was it, or 28 or 35-7, and they almost came back on them. So, I think I have that for that game. And the last game we have on the slate is the LA Rams against the Seahawks. So the Seahawks have actually had a better year than I think people were anticipating. It's just another one of those teams that have exceeded expectations. But this game is in LA. Bobby, what is your prediction?
So I seriously, I think, in terms of Seattle, Russell Wilson, he's so underrated. Dear God, I can tell you as a proud fantasy owner of him for the past 2 years, he's freaking good. I don't know why he doesn't get the attention anymore. But here's the thing: the Rams, they're the Rams is the best way I could say it anymore. Like they've been just tremendous all season, just running through and tearing apart everybody. Got their first loss last week. I think that was just a bump in the road. I really don't think that's something they're going to last. And now they're back at home. I think the Rams are just going to kind of run away with this one, 28-17, just again behind Gurley. I mean, why they're not going to fix anything. Literally nothing is broken about them right now. So I don't think they're going to. I think they're just going to run it over.
All right. Sorry. I was just gonna say, with the Seahawks are kind of, man, they're kind of an interesting team. Like they lose to the teams like the Broncos and the Cowboys, and like almost lose to the fucking Cardinals, and then they have really close game. They had a really close game against the Rams, and even the Chargers. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard, make what you will with this team. Very. It's so hard to tell with the Seahawks, man. This literally the Seahawks could win this game because they're the fucking.
They can. They can. I just don't think they'll do
the
it.
The Seahawks are the kind of team to fucking beat the Patriots and then lose to the Browns.
that is very true.
Looking at you, Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say. And I know this is just a rematch from a few weeks ago. I think the Rams are just too good of a team to lose to the Seahawks. And I think it's going to be by a wider margin. So I'll have the Rams winning 30-20.
All right, and I finish it off. I have the Rams winning 27-17. I can't see them losing. I don't. The game last week, they kind of showed a resurgence in the second half against the Saints. I'm sure they're not too pleased about losing the first game of the season and won a divisional game against a rival. They're definitely going to want to get back to where they were, and I don't see them having a problem doing it. Todd Gurley has had a incredible year, like one of the best we've really seen in the past few seasons. So I really like what he's doing there. I mentioned earlier 12 touchdowns and almost 1,000 yards, and he's only played 9 games. So it's crazy. But yeah, I have this final score being 27-17. And with that, we wrap up the show. Another good episode. I think we had some good topics. The news has been somewhat slow. Like I feel like we say this every week, but it just seems like we had a lot of stories back in the summer, and now things have kind of slowed up. So
yeah, and obviously we usually have two big topics, a topic after in case you missed it. But with how long the quick picks went, because we had a lot to say with multiple stories in there, especially about Le'Veon Bell and the Ottawa Senators situation. We ended up just cutting it. We'll move it to next week most likely. So that's why the format was a little different this time.
Yep, and that will be on the MLB free agency, which I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about with the big names there. But like I said, we will wrap it up here. I will do, as I always do, some plugs. So if you want to reach us on any social media, Twitter, at Complay Network. We also created a Facebook, which we will be getting
if any of you still use it.
Yeah, I was going to say. We're doing that and also planning on making an Instagram. We're trying to see what content we want to kind of put on there, but when we figure that out, that'll be another place to reach us. If you like the video, please like it. We would Appreciate it. If you're listening,
Smash that fucking like button.
If you're on any other platforms like iTunes, give us a good rating. We'll be back next week for episode 13 of the Come Play podcast.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.